all loving Arizona because they have two big primetime wins in the last 8 days. They're still really inconsistent, but they're fun. Kyler Murray's tied for the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. They're fun. I get it. But Dallas is horrible, and Seattle's defense is the only one in the league that's worse. They're really good against bad defenses, that we can say. They've won 7 of their last 10. They deserve to be on this list. Let's just bring it down a little. It's been 2 games in prime time. Cowboys defense, Seahawks defense. They make everybody look great. Cam looked great against Seattle. New England looked great against Seattle. Let's put them at 10 and not go crazy.
Number 9.
I had the Rams here last week. I bet them last night. Had a winning, blazing 5 week, by the way, 3-2. I like the Rams. I think their offensive and defensive lines are playing a little better than people think. They're number 2 in scoring defense. Now, some of that is who they've played, but the only team to allow fewer than 20 points in 5 games this year. They replaced the defensive coordinator, and I love their weapons. They're a team that can, I think, more than previous years with McVay, they can make halftime adjustments. I think Jared Goff is playing very well in second halves. They've been a slow starting team, but I like what they're doing after half. This is a very good football team, and I think they proved it last night.
Number 8.
Seattle. Listen, settle down, Arizona. I know you beat them. Seattle controlled most of that football game. If not for a personal foul penalty on a special teams play, they win that game in regulation. It was the first loss for Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson when leading by 4+ points at halftime. It's not going to happen again. Their defense, though, is atrocious, and I do think they've got to make a move. Go get an Everson Griffin, a J.J. Watt. They've got to make a move. You cannot win a Super Bowl with this defense. Jamal Adams is tied for the lead in sacks. He's got 2. Myles Garrett has 9. They need a pass rush or they're a limited team.
Number 7.
Green Bay has a better defense, and I'm going to put them here at number 7. I think they play great when they're comfortable. Once again, Aaron Rodgers, 3rd game this year, 4 touchdowns, no picks. They were my bet of the year in the NFL. They're very good. But I have seen too many times physical teams line up with them and push them around. So I'm just going to keep them in this 6-7 spot until they change my mind and beat a physical team.
Number 6.
The 49ers. Now, this may last 1 week because they are falling apart physically. And Jimmy G's got the fewest air yards of anybody in the league quarterbacking. Some of that, though, frankly, is Kyle Shanahan. That's just what he does. I really like this team. I like their coach. I like their quarterback. I like their operations. But, I mean, good God. We're going to know. They're at Seattle, and they face Green Bay. So the next 2 weeks, we're going to know a lot. Raheem Mostert's hurt. Jeff Wilson hurt. Tevin Coleman hurt. Deebo Samuel hurt. They already have Bosa out. It's just, at some point, injuries are an issue. But I'm going to put them ahead of Green Bay for a week. Because I think if they met... And they could be, I think if they'd have met last weekend, I would have taken the Niners to beat them.
Number 5.
It gets real close here. Inches, not feet. I'll put Tennessee. They miss a field goal or they go to overtime and probably beat Pittsburgh. Their 3rd down defense is why I put them at 5. They really struggle to get people off the field on 3rd down. And a lot of that is because they don't have a pass rush. You know, they just don't. They do so many things well. Really good coach. Hey, Ryan Tannehill, 14-5 since becoming the starter last year, week 7. He's a different player. But until they get better consistently on 3rd down in the pass rush, I put him at 5.
Number 4.
Back and forth on this and the Baltimore Ravens, but the Ravens did go out and get a defensive end that's going to upgrade their pass rush. They have the number 1 scoring defense. Some of that is who they've played, but they have the number 1 rushing offense. I still think this is a very good team. They're coming off a bye. They're favored over the Steelers. I think, we're getting into this, Lamar can't play from behind. Well, he does have a winning record. He's won 64% of his NFL games when he trails at any point. Now, if you trail Derrick Henry late, maybe a little different than trailing everybody else late. Let's not bury them yet. I still love their roster. I love their coach. Lamar is still uniquely, bizarrely gifted. I still think it's a Super Bowl potential team.
Number 3.
The Steelers. I think it's the best constructed roster in the NFL. In fact, I think their weakness is Big Ben. some of his throws are, to me, mind-boggling. That throw against Tennessee late, what are you doing? You've been in this league now for like 15 years. I like their running backs. James Conner's better than people think. Their front seven's unbelievable. Minka Fitzpatrick. I like everything about him. I worry that Big Ben and Mike Tomlin, I mean, they're made for each other. They're just a little reckless. And that you can get away with all that alpha stuff, but I do wonder late in the season against a Kansas City or a Tennessee that appear more buttoned up. But in terms of a constructed roster, nothing I don't like about it. They got receivers. They always have receivers. Offensive line, pass rush, T.J. Watt. Is he a top 15 player in the league now? I mean, they are loaded.
Number 2.
Kansas City, and I love them right now because they're not as reliant on Patrick Mahomes. Their special teams are excellent. Defense is playing well. This is why the Le'Veon Bell thing made sense to me. Andy Reid's figured it out here. Like, I'm not going to have this kid throwing 39 times a game. I'm not going to have him, because if you're paying him, then you can't have a perfect offensive line and all the weapons. They're becoming more physical, and I love that about them, but they're not as physical as the number one team.
Number 1
is Tampa. First of all, point differential, which is a thing Vegas cares about, number 1 in the league. Yardage differential, number 1 in the league. Sack differential, number 2 in the league, meaning they protect Tom and they get to yours. I think they can beat you physically. They can beat you with speed. They can beat you with smarts. They can beat you with experience. They can beat you over the top. They can pound the football. They're doing this without Leonard Fournette. Like, they're doing this right now without Mike Evans playing much and Chris Godwin. They're doing this not healthy. I think their linebacking core is the fastest linebacking core I have seen in years. So Tampa's my number 1 team in the NFL. All right, Joy, any complaints about that there?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Steelers are undefeated. They just beat the Titans. They got to be number 1, just for this week.
It feels like a homer call there, but
the Bucs are definitely the best team in the NFC, though. I would agree with you there.
All right, New England and Cam stunk this last weekend. Jeff Garcia is a former NFL quarterback. He was on a show, not sure which one, but here's Jeff Garcia. He was upset with Cam and the Flash after how poorly he's been playing this year.
You go into this game, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You throw, 3 more interceptions? You get yanked in the second half? There's nothing good going your way. Why are you dressing like that to bring more attention to yourself? I'd be trying to ask the equipment managers, put me in your jock sock cart and sneak me in the back door.
Cam Newton, meanwhile, apparently was not outraged by it, and Cam Newton responded. Here's Cam Newton. So Cam Newton came out. Here it is.
The fact that he's a former player, he has every right to say that. And until that happens, then so be it. But that's another opinionated theory. And it's fair to say. So, I mean, I know I come off to so many different people, so many different ways, and that's fine. And he, you know what? He's exactly right. But I'm not changing the way I dress.
Listen, Cam's the only guy I've ever seen that looks good in yellow. So you can dress how you want. When you get into relationships, you got to kind of own the person's identity. Women date the rebel. They marry the rebel. And then all of a sudden, he's like, he's a rebel. Well, you married him. You dated him, guys. You marry the flirt. She's still a flirt. Like, you get into relationships, you just got to put your arms around the person. Stop trying to change everybody. Deal with their flaws. Can you imagine somebody's married to me? You got to deal with the flaws. Listen, one of the reasons I come out, and I do this very early for quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Joey Burrow, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Cam. I have unbelievably strong opinions because I'm trying to create clarity for you to know what I think going in. Cam was never my guy. Baker Mayfield was too cocky for me. Johnny Manziel was too arrogant. Jameis Winston was too silly. Cam had too much ego. And I let you know what day one. And I said Baker Mayfield's undraftable. But I always said, for me, for my personality, I like boring. I like Russell Wilson. I like Brady. I like Andrew Luck. That's what I would build around. I like boring. I like presidential. I like quarterbackial. That's what I like. But if I inherited Cam, I'd have to let him be Cam. He does look good in yellow. No other man in the history of the world does that I've ever seen. Like, when there's a lot of GMs and head coaches that are not into Cam. That's why his market was tiny. Like they're just Ron Rivera took his backup. But once you have Cam, and once you acquire Cam, or you trade for Cam, or you draft Cam, gotta let Cam be Cam. You date somebody, gotta let them be who they are. If you're upset with them, send them to a therapist. But I will defend Cam here. Cam's authentic. Cam's who he is. Cam's always been the same guy. Cam's never shied away from it. It'd be one thing if Cam was like, wore a suit and a tie and a briefcase, and he dressed like an accountant. Then you got him there, and he's being Cam. And be like, whoa. Time out. Like Baker Mayfield. I wouldn't draft him. Johnny Manziel, Jameis, Cam. It's like, out. That's me. But once you have that, I think it's deteriorating. It never works. Trying to change who somebody is never works. So, yeah, I mean, Cam's probably better served going to little low-key the last 2 weeks. But that's not who he is. That's not who you went and got. That's not who you acquired. And by the way, he's the most talented offensive guy they've got. Stephon Gilmore's the most talented defensive guy you've got. So, you know, it's nothing against Jeff Garcia. It's not the first person that said that. There's a little too much flash here. But, you know, Carolina, to their credit with Cam, that was never their issue. They went and got Cam. They took the personality. They took the clothes. They took the fashion. They took the... It's like Russell Westbrook. He's not my kind of point guard. But in Houston, they kind of let him be what he was. And he had a good year. All right, coming up next, Peter King stops by. Poor Chicago. I watched them last